Alright guys, so the video for today, we're going to be talking about qualified immunity. I'm not going to be doing like a deep dive into qualified immunity today. I will do that again on some other video. But I've got a story that I want to show you today, and I'm going to show you the story, go over the facts of it, and I want to do it in the lens of qualified immunity because I often see a couple of stupid comments in the comment sections of my video and on Facebook and stuff like that about officers' behavior relating to qualified immunity. One of the most popular ones is, if officers just acted as if they don't have qualified immunity, they won't be out there killing people, which is really a stupid thing to say because I can tell you I've been a police officer for a long time. I haven't killed anybody, haven't shot anybody, I've discharged my weapon only at dogs. But never once during a use of force or an arrest or a situation where I'm dealing with the public have I considered whether or not I have qualified immunity. Every time I am dealing with the public or trying to do something, my only concerns are, what's going on with that person and are my actions legally justified? Those are the things that I worry about. I worry about the Constitution. I worry about the Fourth Amendment. I worry about case law regarding the Fourth Amendment. Getting sued is not one of the things that I'm concerned about. And nor should I, particularly in like life or death cases. The case that we're going to look at today is a life or death case. It's a situation where a deputy actually was forced to discharge his weapon and shot and killed a juvenile. This is a situation where he felt as if his life was in danger. He felt that he was in danger of becoming unconscious with a person on top of him who was trying to steal his firearm. The deputy, with that fear in his mind, drew his weapon and shot and killed somebody. He was actually cleared by a grand jury, but the county agreed to settle a civil lawsuit later. I guarantee the deputy was not thinking about a civil lawsuit when he discharged his weapon. He was only concerned about his own life and safety. The other thing that I hear people say a lot is, we need to end qualified immunity because if these officers were forced to pay these fines, they wouldn't be doing these things. It's not the taxpayer's responsibility to pay the fine for an officer that screws up on the job. A lot of the time that they're not fines, they're judgments awarded by courts. A lot of the times that these judgments are awarded, the officer, the deputy, whoever it is, didn't do anything wrong, but the county or the city still agrees to settle. That's because of the nuance with civil laws and things like that. You never know what is going to happen in a civil case. And the case that I'm going to show you today is one of those ones where the deputy was quickly cleared by a grand jury, and then the civil process was drawn out over 5 years. And because it was drawn out over such a long period of time, the county ended up just settling the case because they figured that would be the cheapest thing to do. I don't know. Let's just go right into the story here. So here's the story. This is in Franklin County, Ohio. It says Franklin County is set to pay $6.5 million to settle a lawsuit over a deputy fatally shooting a teenager. It says right here, $6.5 million, 16-year-old boy in 2018. The payment is the largest in the county's history. The case involves the shooting death of Joseph Haynes, who was fatally wounded during a confrontation with a Franklin County Sheriff's Deputy, Richard Scarborough, on January 17, 2018, outside of a county court on the 5th floor. I hate the way some of these people write. It was in the hallway on the 5th floor of the courthouse. Haynes was at county juvenile court to answer for 2 cases involving firearms. Family members were upset when a hearing ended with a decision that Haynes must continue wearing an ankle monitor and be on house arrest, according to the complaint followed by the boy's estate. We're going to get into the charges here in a minute, but this kid, this sweet innocent young boy, this sweet innocent 16-year-old boy, was in court for aggravated robbery with a firearm and aggravated menacing with a firearm. Aggravated robbery means you have a gun and you rob somebody. Aggravated menacing with a firearm means you threaten to shoot and kill somebody. So that's what the sweet little kid was in court for. The judge ordered him to stay on house arrest. So this 16-year-old kid was on house arrest for aggravated robbery and threatening to kill somebody and he got house arrest, and he was upset about this. If you ask me, house arrest for 2 violent crimes like that is a pretty sweet deal. So here's a statement from the defense attorney, or not the defense attorney, but the attorney that is suing the county, who's seeing dollar signs. Says Deputy Scarborough needlessly initiated a physical confrontation with Joey's mom by grabbing her arm, twisting it behind her back, and pushing her face first against the wall. That prompted the 140-pound boy to intervene on behalf of his mother, pulling the deputy's shoulder, the suit said. The lawsuit contends that the deputy flipped the boy onto his back onto the floor, laid on top of him, and then shot him in the chest as his mother, grandmother, and his seven-year-old brother and teenage girlfriend watched. Then he goes on to say, this is from the attorney suing the county. It says, everybody was screened for weapons that day. There's no reason to believe anyone was armed. Therefore, you should not have shot anybody. Unarmed means not dangerous. That's what the lawsuit contends. Here is the attorney, Daniel Mordarski. I don't really give a shit about his name. Here's how much he got paid. So a $6.5 million judgment was paid. $2.28 million was in attorney fees, as well as some other fees and stuff that were included in there. The article does go on to talk a little bit about how the boy and his family were upset, and somebody did admit that the boy got on Deputy Scarborough's back. But whatever, who knows? All we know is that a large settlement was paid. And if you think that Deputy Scarborough should be responsible for this rather than the taxpayers, you're kind of an idiot. And that's kind of what I'm talking about here. Here is like a large statement of the facts, and I'm not going to read through all of this. It is quite lengthy. I have read it for you, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you the story as I can recall it. Okay. I've read through it several times. I just read through it a moment ago. The picture that you're looking at right here, this is a picture of Joseph Haynes. It's not the cute innocent picture. This is another picture that I've found when I was looking for pictures of him. That's the one that we're going to have in the background while I tell the story. So on January 17, 2018, at about 12:30, Joseph and his mom were in court answering for his felony charges of aggravated robbery with a gun and aggravated menacing with a gun. While they were still out in the hallway, Deputy Scarborough was standing in the hallway monitoring everybody that was out there. He heard some commotion, and the commotion that he heard was Joseph and his mother, Karen, yelling and screaming at each other and cussing, and he heard Joseph saying, "That's fucking bullshit. I'm not fucking doing that." The courtrooms then opened and people flowed into the rooms. Deputy Scarborough, realizing that this could be a potentially volatile situation, he decided to place himself in the courtroom with Joseph and his mom. As the judge started to read off the charges or the results of the case or whatever, Joseph pushed his chair away from the table, stood up, and said, "Fuck you, this is bullshit." That's when the bailiff, who happens to be a black man, looked at Joseph and said, "Son, you need to sit down." Joseph looked back at him and said, "Fuck you, N." He followed up by saying, "I'm going to come back at 5 tonight and I'm going to take care of your ass." So you have a kid, a 16-year-old, sweet, innocent, little 16-year-old boy who's on charges of aggravated robbery with a gun and aggravated menacing with a gun. So he's being charged with violent crimes, and he's in the courtroom threatening violence upon other people. That's when Deputy Scarborough comes up to him, puts his hand on his back, says, "Son, you need to sit down." That's when he flicks the deputy's hand off and says, "Get your fucking hands off me." And then Karen looks at him and says, "Don't you fucking touch my son." So about this time, Karen and Joseph are causing such a scene in the courtroom. They're yelling, cussing, using profanity, using racial slurs. Magistrate Sanchez says, "You know what? I've had enough for the day. We're going to close the courtroom. Everybody out." So everybody starts leaving the courtroom, and Deputy Scarborough follows this pair out. Rather than walking towards the elevator, they walk the other way to a closed end of the hallway, yelling, screaming profanities and racial slurs the entire time. There was multiple witnesses in the hallway, and I'll go over that here in a minute. I've got it in black and white for you. As Deputy Scarborough realizes that they're not leaving the courthouse, they're actually going towards like a dead end. He walks up to him and says, "Hey, you guys are going the wrong way. You need to go this way." That's when Joseph's mother, Karen, says, "Fuck you." Deputy Scarborough steps a little closer and says, "No, you don't understand. You need to leave the courtroom now." That's when Joseph's mother, Karen, pushes the deputy. He steadies himself and walks towards her again. Says, "Ma'am, you need to leave the courtroom right now." She pushes him again with two hands with enough force that he almost falls backwards. He then approaches her and said, "That's it. You're under arrest. Turn around, put your hands behind her back." What does she do? She blades her stance, comes with a right, tries to punch him in the face. He blocks that punch, grabs her arm, spins her around, pushes her up against the wall, says, "That's it. You're under arrest." He's trying to put cuffs on her. Let's pause for a moment, and we're going to go back down to what the attorney said. Deputy Scarborough needlessly initiated a physical confrontation with Joey's mom by grabbing her arm and twisting it behind her back, putting her face up against the wall. If a deputy is in charge of security at the court, the judge closes the courtroom early and files everybody out into the hallway, and that deputy that's in charge of security approaches you and says that you need to leave, and your response to that deputy is by shoving him and then trying to punch him in the face, that is not what I call needlessly initiating a physical confrontation, putting her hand behind her back and forcing her into the wall. Karen's actions initiated the physical confrontation. At this point, Deputy Scarborough has Karen pushed up against the wall. He's trying to get his cuffs on her. And that's when sweet little innocent Joey here, 16-year-old, 140-pound Joey, runs over, jumps on the deputy's back, and starts punching him. He's punching him in the face, boxing his ears, boxing his temples, trying to knock his head off. Deputy Scarborough then has to let go of this kid's mom, and he's trying to get him off his back. As he's trying to get this kid off of his back and trying to protect his head, he feels someone tugging on his gun. He's got a spider monkey on his back, beating the crap out of him and trying to grab his gun. So now he's no longer able to protect his head, has to use both hands to secure his gun. When he's securing his gun, he feels tugging on the other side of his body. That's tugging on his taser. Joseph is going 1,000,000 miles an hour. He's like a crazed maniac on the back of this deputy, punching him in the head, trying to take his gun, trying to take his taser. At this point, they're down at the ground, and the deputy uses his weight to put his weight on top of Joseph to try to secure his holster as he's yelling at him, "Let go of my holster, let go of my taser." Joseph continues to squirm, continues to grab at things, continues to punch him in the head. You know, if you put your hands down to protect your gun, you're getting hit in the head, or he's grabbing your taser. You try to secure your taser, he's grabbing your gun, he's hitting you in the head. Deputy Scarborough was on the ground with this kid, and then he felt somebody else jump on the pile. At the time, he believed it was either Joseph's mom or someone else that was another member of Joseph's family. Unfortunately, it was not. It was another bailiff that was trying to help the deputy. But the deputy had been hit in the head so many times, had his weapon pulled on so many times, and felt that there was no way to end this without possibly becoming unconscious and having his weapons taken away. At the moment that a third person jumped on the pile, he drew his gun, discharged it into Joseph Haynes, shooting and killing him. This is a very different story from what we were just told by the defense attorney. These are just the witness statements, or at least excerpts from witnesses, because I have the entire analysis here, and it's too long for me to go through. But here are just the witnesses. Magistrate Sanchez: Joseph and Karen became irate. Joseph pushed his chair back and stood up. Jennifer Briscoe, Joe's attorney, said that Joseph was cussing at the bailiff. The bailiff indicated that Joseph was agitated in his posture and words. Wyatt further stated that Joseph's agitation was directed at Wyatt, Sanchez, and Scarborough. Probation officer Kevin Owens. I see the deputy trying to de-escalate the mom and have the mom calm down. Another probation officer. Joseph was blowing up and using racial slurs. He felt like something was going to happen. Criminal defense attorney Keith Brewster talking to Karen. Stop, you're going to get your son arrested. Joseph's grandmother, Geraldine Haynes. She agreed that she saw Joseph jump on the deputy's back. Witness Evelyn Jones. I mean, he was hitting him everywhere he could. It was fast. Bam, 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 bam. And then the final line from the statement of facts. And this is what was given to... Get myself out of the way here. This is what was shown to the grand jury. Deputy Speakman said that Geraldine Haynes and Joseph's girlfriend started screaming at Karen and had to be removed from the room. They were very upset and saying that Karen caused Joseph's death by assaulting the deputy. So statements from Joseph's own family. His own grandmother and girlfriend were yelling at his mom, saying that you started this situation that caused Joey to attack the deputy, which led to his death. The deputy was cleared by a grand jury. But civilly, the county agreed to pay $6.5 million to settle a 5-year lawsuit. To the people that say the taxpayers shouldn't be forced to pay these civil penalties, it should be on the police officer or the deputy or whoever it is that fucks up. What about cases where the officer didn't do anything wrong? What about cases like this with Deputy Scarborough, who's getting the shit kicked out of him by a couple of crazed maniacs in a juvenile courtroom? He was assaulted by the mother and assaulted by this kid. Assaulted by this kid. Was forced to defend his life. He was in fear of becoming unconscious, having his taser and weapon taken and used against him. So he used deadly force, like he was authorized to do. But the county paid $6.5 million. People think that taking away qualified immunity is going to stop this from happening. No. I think that's it for today. Thanks for watching. I'll talk to you later.